Recording in
Hey
progress.
everybody, welcome to That's Good Stuff, our show where we take deep dives into pop culture's newest releases. And the show everyone is talking about this season is Shogun over on FX or Hulu if you are a streamer. We already reviewed episode 1 on Bonus Stuff, our last episode of Bonus Stuff. That's the one with the Dragon Ball thumbnail, so go look for that if you want to see our thoughts on the first episode. You guys were all pretty positive in it. I was kind of, So we are going to review episodes 2, 3, and 4. And episode 2 is called Servants of Two Masters. So this one pretty much takes off where the last one ended. We have John Blackthorne, and he is at the mercy of Lord Toranaga. He's in his jail cell. Well, before even that, we get some backstory to the whole show, which was very helpful. That should have been the first scene of the first episode, but it wasn't. So we get the backstory. We get John Blackthorne in prison. They're trying to figure out what to do with him. Toranaga believes that he is a good chess piece against the other lords that want to impeach him. So he's going to use him as a bargaining piece against the Christian guys. And because he's English and not that in they're Protestants. So no, he's Protestant. They're Catholics. So it gets mixed up in my head all the time. But so
okay, now you know how the Japanese feel.
Yeah, exactly.
Who are you? Why don't you like his god? Isn't that the same god as your god?
Well, kind of, but yes. Well, no, but kind of.
So Blackthorne finds some very valuable information to keep him alive because they were about to kill him. And that is that the Portuguese they have a secret base in Macau. So that is very useful information for Toranaga. So he's decided to keep Blackthorne alive. We have a ninja attack, and they figure out that the ninja was after Blackthorne. He wasn't after, or she wasn't after Toranaga at all. So it's time to get out of Dodge, but that's the next episode. So, like I said, I appreciated this episode a lot better than the first one just because it gave me that backstory. Basically, there was a lord who had power, and he's dying on his deathbed. And he tells Toranaga that he's going to make this little council. I forget what they call it, but
that's the emperor.
So that was the emperor, and he says he's going to make this little council in his place after he dies, and so that sets up the whole story. And it's because his son is too young to rule, so he Toranaga agrees that he will kind of be his steward while he grows up. So that was very helpful. Besides that, everything else was pretty good. I liked the ninja attack. I thought that was really cool, and so it ended
brutal
really
as
cool.
hell.
This show just gets it's like calm. Now all for brutality.
Yeah.
Calm down.
So what do you guys think of episode 2?
I like this one. I also like. I mean, I like a lot of the politics for this one because of the 5 regents, and you can't boot a regent because they talk about him. You know, we're going to impeach you, and by impeach means we are going to order you to kill yourself. And so I like that they can't do that until they all agree to do it.
And it's not just himself; it's like all his people.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's like the entire clan.
Crazy.
Yeah. But I do like the politics of it. Kind of sets up the backstory of what's what the shogunate is, because he asked him about the emperor when he's dying is asking him to, hey, if you take control of all the regents, what that is. He's like, well, that's a shogunate. We haven't had one in a long time, so kind of interesting.
Excellent.
And yes, that ninja attack was pretty cool. Like I like how she's like kind of just like walks in between people and like die. So
I like that when it started, I was like, ninja.
I like that scene a lot whenever he's talking to Towaga, how what now?
Toranaga.
Toranaga?
Whenever he's talking to him, he's like, will you replace me, whatever? And he gives him like the answers, like that was a good answer, basically. I was like,
yeah, he calls him the cleverest man in the world in the realm.
Oh, is this the part where we get to see him not playing with the Falcon, but falconry?
They did
This
that in
is
the
on the first
first
one.
Was that the
yeah.
first one?
I don't remember.
Well, I listened to the podcast with is it Hideyoki Sandai? I think is how you pronounce his name. Toranaga.
Yeah, I think that's right.
And apparently that's a big thing in Japanese lords, like their culture is learning how to like do falconry. And so he says that apparently he's a huge samurai nerd.
Yeah,
And
I saw that too.
And apparently that's that the fact that Toranaga is that he practices falconry is a big deal
That's awesome.
because it has like something to deal with the discipline of a samurai, because the falcon is like the ultimate sky predator, and so if you can harness that, you've harnessed like a piece of nature.
Except for dragons.
Well, yes, but we'll get into that. We'll get into that later when Joseph reviews something. But yeah, I'm really liking this show so far. So
Falcons freak me out, man. I was on a walk once and it was right over my head.
Something about that falcon, they actually hatched it and raised it, and its first job was this show. It was like 2 weeks old when they actually did it.
Congratulations, you graduated baby bird school. Now get to work.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I like episode 2. Agreed.
Jared?
Was that a peregrine falcon?
I think so, yeah.
Those are cool.
It's big.
Yeah. The fastest bird because they free fall. Yeah, I like every time I gotta watch Shogun because I'm like before I watch it, I'm like, it's gonna be boring or something. But then I watch it, I'm like, this is good. I'm still not blown away by episode 2, but I did enjoy it a lot. I did like I like seeing like the Toranaga's like where he was staying, and then I don't know what they're called, house or whatever, but it's cool to see at night. And I really like Toranaga. Like he's like the most interesting character, but we cut away from him too much, and I'm like,
no.
Yeah.
I'm still not like 100% on board with John or
Blackthorn.
Yeah, but I'm enjoying it. I'm enjoying it at this point.
All right.
Go to episode 3.
The only negatives I have about this show, well, I don't want to say the only, but the big negative I have is they do that stupid like fisheye lens thing, and I hate it, man, because they do this on other shows too, like that Adam Sandler basketball movie. They did it a lot in that where they like blur the edges. I can't stand that, man.
Yeah.
Oh, this episode's where Fuji's son and husband killed themselves, right? Or they're put to death, right?
That was the first one?
I know they were ordered then. But this is when they actually did it, though, right?
Oh, yeah, I don't remember. I think so.
I don't remember.
Okay,
I think so. But yeah, I'm with you, Joseph. Like that was my like big thing about how weird watching One Piece was because it's all like wide shots and like fisheye lenses and stuff like that. And I'm like, is it just becoming a popular thing? There's so many even like close-ups that are doing wide angle lenses, and I'm like, I don't feel like I'm in this. I feel like I'm so apart from this, and you're just trying to show off the background. I'm like, we can see the background in wide angle shots. Stop giving me fisheye lenses right here.
I know.
At least it wasn't a upside down shot that transitions to a full regular shot.
I like
no. We had that in Citadel, and it all about drove us crazy.
Oh yeah,
no,
Citadel is just
bad. Bad, Michael.
What did that good? Something did that really well. Oh, it's on tip of my. Oh, it was actually Crimes of Grindelwald, the third Fantastic Beasts movie, had a great shot like that, but not a good movie. Anyway,
not a good movie.
I was like, there's one
couple of notes. I like when the old lady says, like, I'm old, I need lots of respect. That was
Yeah.
funny, like.
Yeah, no man. Go ahead.
map drawing. They make them draw a map. Mine would be terrible. They would just
Yeah.
And he was
I'd be
so
like-
eager to do it too. I was like,
Yeah.
I'd be like, that's supposed to look like Japan, but don't judge me too much. But he's like,
When
yes, I am good at this.
I wanted him to be like, the Earth is round, and one guy be like, no.
Throws his stuff and walks away.
flat earther. Conspiracy.
Heretic.
Like this, like, why would it fall if it's round?
It would roll.
It would roll.
And then I like the whole thing where he's like 2 baths in 1 week.
Oh yeah.
You need to get the flux.
I
You
love
English people stink.
I love that. You don't want to take a bath? Yeah, took one 2 days ago.
They actually go into the book where he's recovering from basically being at sea, and he's freaking out because they have all the windows open and they're trying to get him fresh air, and so he's like trying to like close the windows. He's like, "You're just gonna make me sicker. Stop
He kind of
it."
offhandedly mentions that. He's like, you want me to take another bath, or am I going to catch my death or something?
Yeah. Okay, so episode 3 is Tomorrow is Tomorrow. So, like I said, it's time to get out of Dodge because his enemies are surrounding him. So, let's see. You guys are gonna have to remind me on this one because it's the middle one.
So they're trying to get out, and they're basically, is it Ishido? The other regent is ordering them out of the city,
mhm.
but Toranaga has a plan, which I think is hilarious, to dress up as a woman and do a little switcheroo inside the convoy so they can get out.
Switcheroo that doesn't go so well in the middle of the woods.
So I love this part because this is pretty much right out of the book and it's hilarious. I think it's a little funnier in the book, but I like this. He's like, honor, just disgrace, because he doesn't want them to peek in and find Toranaga. So he's just like, you dare look at a woman, you dare.
Yeah,
Like, is no one
this
gonna stop him?
reminded
Why is
me-
anyone stopping him?
This reminded me of Jungle to Jungle when he's like, prophets.
But in the book, he just basically like goes kind of like this, but he starts shouting at Mahiko, and he's like, please help me, I'm going insane, they're gonna kill me, think of something else because I don't know how long I can do this, please help me. But I did like that. He's like, disgrace, so they have him pinned down to the what is it called, the palanquin or whatever. He's like, honor, disgrace.
And yeah, so they get out of town after that little checkpoint, and they're like in a forest, right? And all heck breaks out, man, because fire arrows start raining down on them. And they're like, and somehow they find out that Toranaga is there. And then they're like fighting each other, and they're like, are they fighting each other? What is going on? So there's a big old action scene. It was a little silly because the girl's tiny, man, and she's got this big old stick, and she's like, wee, and people are just like falling down. So they get out of that jam, and they get to like this port town where they see a boat, and they're like, we got to get out of here. And what else happens?
Go ahead.
Do you want to? I don't know. Should we talk about this yet?
Well, no, I was gonna say you left out. So Mahiko's husband is.
Yeah, that's what I was. Gonna say.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
Do we want to talk about that yet? We can.
Well, I mean, it's part of it though.
So yeah, they're about to leave on the boats, right? And they see her husband. He's fighting off like a whole army by himself. He goes out like a boss, man, and they're like, "Dang, that guy's cool." Toranaga even like yells and says, "Yeah, man, you rule." And sadly, they gotta leave him because he's getting overwhelmed.
He's too far. It's like 4 feet. No,
No,
nah,
Too
man.
far.
Can't
Go
make
back.
Can't make it.
John's like, "I can go get him. Just wait for me."
Can't roll the other way. We're rolling this way. Like, what are you talking about, man?
So they
Don't roll
get to-
backwards.
So they get to the boat, but there's a blockade, and they're like, "There's no way we're gonna get past that blockade." But fortunately, they see a Portuguese, what do you call them, black ship.
The black ship. The black
Yeah.
ship.
So they see it, and they go. And John's like, "Hey, we can't get through that blockade, but they can." So they go over to the boat, and Toranaga kind of negotiates with the captain and also the priests are there. and he's like, "Oh, we'll let you build a church in Edo if you guys like get us past this blockade." And they're like, "All right, we'll do that, but Blackthorn can't come because we hate it, that guy." And the Spanish guy's there too, and it's like, "Hey, Spanish guy." So Blackthorn leaves the ship, but he sees a old friend of his, and he's like, "Oh, screw this! I'm not going back." So he like gets on his ship, and they follow the big ship through the blockade, and the big ship almost like squashes them against the rocks, but the Spanish guy's like, he's kind of a bro. I don't want to kill him or anything.
Well,
so
he owes him his life.
yeah. So he kind of like lets him pass, and John's very happy. And he's like, "Yeah, we did it." And that's basically that episode, right? There's a part where Toranaga wants to learn how to swim, and we get this fun little
I didn't
scene
get
of
this
swimming.
scene.
Really? You didn't like this scene?
I didn't mind it, but I just don't get it. Like, it's confusing. Like, was he? I thought he was messing with him at first, just make him do it over and over and over again. And he was like, "No, now I actually need to." I don't know. I didn't get. And also the weird, like, it was like a white vignette instead of like a black vignette around the whole scene. It made it look very dreamy. Didn't like that very much because I'm assuming it was on a set, not like out actually in the waters because
it happened in Toranaga's dreams.
He's like,
I want to see John dive into that water.
Man with his sexy chest and this women.
In the strong sailor taught me how to die.
He was in a loincloth.
All right. So yeah, another pretty solid episode. Lots of stuff happening in this one. I'll save my gripe for after you guys talk. So go ahead and talk.
Go ahead, Thomas.
Yeah, Thomas. Go ahead.
Thomas.
Yeah, I really like this episode. Not as much as the next one, but we'll get to that. But I like this one. It showed what? What was that?
Continue on.
Okay. I like the debt paid part with him and Rodriguez. I thought that was a lot of fun. I also really enjoy that actor, so I always like when he's on screen. I don't think Matako's husband dies quite yet in the book. But I think they changed that just for pacing's sake, and I see why. But yeah, this is a solid episode. I mean, it's a travel episode, so it's honestly just one of those. So
yeah.
Yeah, I like the fun kind of tension of playing with getting caught and whatnot. But I like also the like how willingly they are going to accept the whole thing. It's just kind of like a thing like you talked about before. Thomas said they were going to make the guy kill himself if they voted him out. Well, they were all just like willing to accept that they were going to find him in the little cart. And I know. Like, no, we're not going to not do something. We're going to change what's happening here. And I'm going to scream like a lunatic. So I like that kind of just different culture approach.
Improper.
But
it's very improper.
I like the I like the old lady too that was coming out that was supposed to be in the cart that snuck out of her. She was pretty funny too. She's like, I don't want to be here and blah, travel and blah. I don't know, just cranky.
Funny. Something that did happen during this time is that Toranaga handed in his resignation. Yeah, so now they can't.
Guy,
you can't fire me. I quit.
Well, it brings into that part that they can't force him to abdicate or not abdicate, and he can't be impeached. Therefore, they can't force him to be to kill himself because he quit. So
or any of the people that are still there.
Yeah, but they're also to have someone of his rank be ordered to commit suicide. You needed the 5 regents, and they only have 4, and so they're like, "Oh,
yeah."
So that was pretty satisfying. That was a good moment.
I like that little guy. Is pretty cool.
That guy's pretty cool.
Yeah.
He's pretty dope. And then I like the 4 scene was confusing but good, and then I like the despite the husband being kind of a cranky D-bag, I did like his last stand he had there. That was pretty dope.
Yeah, that's my problem with the episode is that they make him look such like a jerk. I mean, I get he's strict, but he's like overly kind of mean to his son. So they're just like, it would have been cool just to see that scene play out just like a normal guy, and he's just like going out with a noble sacrifice, but it just seems like, the girl is just like ready for him to die so she can get with John. It just kind of seemed like that. It did kind of cut his sacrifice for me.
Well, they also didn't like make it clear though, because like they just kind of shoved him off screen. You never
Yeah,
really
true.
saw him die, so it's like,
Yeah, I don't. I'm gonna. Yeah,
The action, I didn't. It seemed very staged. Like you could tell they're like on a set. Like I said, when she's like swinging the thing, and the guys are just like, oh, it just seems, and it seems like they're on like a Disney ride with the archers, just like, and they're like on a boat ride or something, driving by. So the action, yeah, the action wasn't that great for me for this episode, but it was directed by someone from Rings of Power, so she did 4 episodes of Rings of Power, so.
yikes!
This was much better.
maybe we should have kept that to ourselves, Joseph.
No wonder Michael liked it so much.
What do you think,
You
Jared?
dare, Jared? Don't you dare?
I think you guys pretty much said all of it. I can't really remember anything that stood out, but you guys made good points.
Make good points. All right. So, episode 4, the Eightfold Fence. So, they get to where they're going. It happens to be like his generals, like in his village, or I don't know what it is, a town or something. So they get there, and there's like a big welcoming for them because, hey, it's Toranaga. He's here, and everyone's happy to see him. They're like, yeah, you're here. And then he immediately leaves. And the son's like, he's got business. He's got to go.
After stealing all of his thunder, by the way, the guy's thunder.
And the guy's like, oh, the general guy's kind of funny because he's always
It's
like
funny.
shocked or something like that. So he's like, oh my goodness, I can't believe what's going on. John's excited to be there because they told him that he could have his ship and his men. And so he's like, yeah, give me a boat. I'm headed over there. And they're like, wait, you can't go over there. That's Toranaga's boat now. And you're not allowed over there.
Your
So he's
men
like,
aren't even on this island or whatever.
yeah, he's like, dang it. And then, but we will give you.
He does throw a fit.
Yeah.
He's like,
But instead, we'll give you a house, a salary, and a consort.
And
So
a
there you go.
woman.
Yeah. So this woman, I don't remember her from the first episodes.
so she's okay. Remember the samurai that insulted that regent, and he was being ordered to put to death.
No.
And
First episode?
the first episode, and then they also said, "Oh yeah, your son has to die too." Do you remember that part?
The one she just
Don't
had.
remember that all. Yeah.
Okay, that's
that's her.
that's her husband that had to commit suicide.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know why I don't remember that at all, but I don't. So she is Blackthorn's consort now, and he's like, I don't need a woman, and they're like, well, you got one, and you got this house, and you also have to train our men in your ways. And he's like, okay. So they go out there, and it's time to train, and he kind of like BS'd his way into this training. Because he wanted to live, but now he's got to actually tell them what to do. And he's like, I don't know infantry tactics. So he starts telling them about this battle in Malta. And they're like, were you even there? And he's like, no. And so he switches tactics, and he's like, you know what? England has the greatest navy in the world. Why don't I just teach you naval tactics? And then I'll teach you how to shoot cannons really far away and accurate. And so that's what he does. He starts training them to shoot the long cannons, and it's pretty cool. And there's another guy who comes from the regions, and he's like telling them that the general has been summoned in front of them. So this is a big deal because that means he's pretty much dead, right?
Mhm.
And he has a son, and his son doesn't want him to die. And so he kind of makes a plan. But before all that, we get some kind of romance stuff with John. He gets to know Mariko a little more, and he kind of makes up with the concert because he's kind of rude to her. There was a cool scene where
About to say, you left out a pretty big scene.
where he was gonna, the son of the general, right?
Mhm.
He wanted his guns because they're like, well, you can't have guns out here.
That's not That's not Toranaga's son. That's the nephew of the other lord.
Yeah. And he's like, well, you guys all have swords. How come I can't have my guns? And they're like, no, it's different.
Different.
So he gives them to the consort, or the Mariko's like, give them to your consort. She'll protect them with your life. And she has to like do it right away because the guy like goes for the guns and she's like, no, you can't have these. So that was pretty cool because it made kind of embarrass that guy. He's like, oh, okay. So that happened, and Dr. Ernst has been kind of rude to this girl because he doesn't want her following him around and stuff like that. But he kind of makes up with it at dinner, and they're eating natto. And he's like, hey, I want to try that. That looks good. That looks like cereal or something.
Natto always looks amazing.
It does.
No, it doesn't.
It does look amazing, Thomas.
It looks like fungus. Is what
you
it
look
looks
like a fungus right now.
You look like a fungus. You look like a fungi.
It looks good.
In anime, it always looks good. It's like glistening and like
it's disgusting. It's
and
rotten
in this,
beans.
it looked good too. We know what it is, but it looks good.
Fermented soybean. It's fermented soybean. So
it's rotten soybeans, Michael. That's what
but Jared's right. It looks kind of like a sweet or something like that, like ice cream or something like that. So he's like, hey, look, give me some of that. I'll try. And they're like laughing at him. They're like, you're not going to like this. But he gives the consort the guns as a gift to say he's like sorry that he's been so rude to her. And she's like touched. And so she goes and gets her father's swords.
Her husband.
I thought it was her father.
Her father's.
Was her father's?
Yeah,
I swear it was her husband's.
She says father,
I'm wrong.
But she gives
just
it
like
to
the
him.
natto. You've been wrong twice.
I am not wrong about that. That is disgusting.
It looks good,
but it looks good.
It looks like
no, it doesn't look
peanuts.
good. No,
like caramel with peanuts.
It looks like the opposite.
Ramen. I couldn't tell. It was dark.
She gives her the swords, and he's very touched. He's like, I can't accept this, but she's like, if I'm going to serve you, you have to have swords. And then he sees the rain. It's very beautiful. He just keeps saying everything's beautiful in this episode. And then once
I took a bath.
Yeah, everything. And Mariko's like, hey, try to meditate while you're out in the rain. He's like, okay, I'll do it. And then, he takes a bath and he's naked and she walks in on him and he's like, hey, I'm going to get in the water now. And she kind of tells him, well, she doesn't really tell him her whole backstory. She just kind of hints at it. And then he tells her a little about London. And he's like, if me and you were in London, I'd take you on a date. And she's like, oh. So they hook up. And then, like I said, I don't know what he is, but someone that represents the regents wants to see the general guy. And so the son, he and his woman, I don't know who she is either, but they kind of conspire. And she's like, hey, wouldn't you want to be in charge? And he's like, yeah. So he kind of puts it into Toranaga's son because he doesn't believe he's ever been respected. He doesn't believe his dad respects him. And he kind of tells him, hey, he kind of puts it in his head that, hey, maybe you should make a stand. And the episode ends pretty brutally. So the guy is like here to see the cannon demonstration. But then the son's like, you have disgraced my name or something like that. And then he's like, they fire on them with the cannons, and there's big old blood explosions and everything. And the guy cuts his head off, and that's how it ends. So pretty cool ending to this one. What did you guys think of this one?
Would you like to start again, Thomas?
Sure, I guess. This is probably my favorite of the episodes so far. Okay, so I think I mentioned this in the first time we talked about this. Fuji, the consort, she's probably my favorite character in the book. I love the gun scene is right out of it. I love that scene. It's a very cool character. There's a lot of I don't want to give a lot away. She becomes very important to Blackthorn down the road, and this is kind of the start of that. That one scene is like the start of their relationship. And I did like that she's the one that gave him the swords this time, because in the book, I think it's Toranaga gives him a pair of swords after he's promoted to Hatamoto. But I think her giving those swords is a better way to do that. And the fact that he gives her one of his guns too, which is kind of cool. So he's definitely trusting her more. The canon part is actually different from the book. I actually listened to this on the podcast. They were talking about how the Portuguese pretty much introduced rifles to the Japanese like 100 years before. So they already kind of knew how to use rifles, but they were very ignorant about cannons. They just didn't do it very well. And so they decided to make this change because it honestly kind of makes more sense to have a naval person know how to operate and fire cannons and like all the mathematics that it takes to hit a shot like that. It makes more sense. And I think I agree. Like having the cannons, that's pretty cool. Like that was a cool scene. But yeah, this was a really good episode. So
yeah, I agree. I feel like go back through my mind through this episode. I was confused on the post lovemaking scene when they sit down on the porch.
That was good. I like that.
But so I'm about as confused as the main character was. Explain it to me.
okay,
so it happened, but they can't admit it.
Yeah. So she's just saying that she gave her to him as a gift, and that was a okay.
Well, what's more awkward in the book is like well, what's more awkward in the book is that she's like, "Oh, did you actually sleep with Fuji?" And he's like, "Wait, what? I did what?" And he's like, "But yeah, that happened. Yes, it was Machiko, but she has to say that, no."
I think he finally caught up at the end though, because he's like, "Oh, that was a really good gift."
I did like that. It's like, it is a good morning.
So good for him. Good for him. No, I like that. So definitely the canon strategy thing. You kind of see I like him get to this point of the character where like he's like more accepting of the culture and trying to, like Joe said, play nicer to the people and apologize and make his amends to being a big baby and throwing his little paddle down on the boat. The canon scenes are cool. The accuracy, I like that. I always like that. Whenever the main character like shoves it in the guy's face, like, "Hey, I know more about what I'm talking about than you think I do," and they're like, "Oh, he actually just hit the target. What?" So that was pretty cool. And then that brutal scene. I loved that last moment with the guy on the ground missing half of his limbs, and he's just like, "This is not the samurai way, you savages!" He's just screaming at him. He looks so cool with his shoulder like half there. It's like, man, that guy's baller, even though he's about to die. But very good performances. Like the characters. I don't have much more on this one. I'm interested to see because I feel like it needs to expand a lot more after this one. With only 6 episodes left, I feel like we need to get moving.
I don't think this is going to be. Did they say it was going to be a limited series?
It's only 10.
Yeah.
I don't know how they're
I
going
don't know if they said there's even going to be a second.
Yeah, I don't know.
Because they're only like,
seems like that's it. Like, I don't know. Maybe
they're only like 1/3 of the way through the books. So I don't know how.
Power of montage.
Rocky training session. No, yeah, definitely. I agree. This is probably one of the strongest episodes for sure.
Yeah. I liked it too. The canon scene where he's teaching them how to shoot. Isn't there a samurai movie like that? Where it's basically the same thing.
Is the Hidden Blade, I think.
Yeah.
They're trying to figure out how to fire cannons, and they just could not.
Yeah.
They could not get it down.
The movie.
We watched that.
I know it's been a minute.
There was one scene that I liked that you left out. When Mariko is talking to John in the rain, and she's kind of like, just because we're polite and put on this air doesn't mean that we don't like mourn or stuff like that. I thought that was pretty cool. And then the natto, just like anime, looks amazing.
It looks like Snickers.
No, it looks like cheese. It looks like foot fungus.
Probably tastes bad, but always looks good.
It tastes really strong.
I like how he's like, it's like cheese.
They eat it for breakfast.
Does it do anything for you?
It's super healthy. It's like the worst thing you could ever imagine putting in your mouth.
Yeah.
No, not even that. Like
they put it on rice and they like eat it for breakfast. If
I remember right, I think it's a summer thing too. they have it primarily this summer, but I don't remember.
God, why is summer here?
When we go to Japan for That's Good Stuff, we'll go eat some.
I will definitely try it.
We'll try it, Thomas.
No, I don't want
Thomas
to.
will try it first.
I don't want to.
But
You're
yeah,
being a John Blackthorne. Thomas.
no, he ate it willingly and happily.
Even my Japanese friend, she's like, "Oh, you should try it." I'm just like, I don't care what you say. I don't want to eat this at all.
This is a good episode. I did like Jiro at the end with he was like half a man, and he's just like, "Screw you guys."
Yeah.
But yeah, it was a good episode.
Yeah.
Really wrapped up at the end.
Oh, we forgot to mention the title name, or sorry, not the, we mentioned the name, but we forgot what it actually means. The eightfold fence.
Yeah,
So
tell me what that means, because I don't know what that means.
It's basically creating a protecting structure. So that they're talking about the eightfold fence, like of your heart. So you have layers that you let people into.
It's like
And-
Rock Lee.
Like the gates to hell.
Sure, why not?
What was it? Rock Lee opens the 8 paths or whatever it is.
The
That sounds
gates.
vaguely familiar.
Yeah. And we forgot to mention Baby Earthquake. So
Oh yeah, he
Blackthorn experiences first earthquake, and he's like, "What the heck was that?" And she's like, "That happens all the time. You better get used to it."
Her reaction was weird though to him. Whenever he reacted weirdly to it, she seemed almost like strangely terrified or like ashamed in a strange way. I don't know. It was a weird reaction.
Yeah, she did.
I was like,
kind of.
also like it's another one of those weird, like, why are you using green screen right here when you don't need to? Like they just like did the zoom out things where it's like the weird fake looking rocks. I'm like,
Yeah.
why are you doing this? Just don't.
Oh, I did like the wife, or I guess it's the wife of the general or the leader of that town when she's like, "Oh, we should have bought the cheap stuff." Because Toranaga left like right away.
She's like coming. She's like, "Oh, I should have got the good stuff." Then he leaves. I should have brought that cheap stuff.
They were so disappointing.
And guess what I found when I was looking for a movie the other day?
The cheap stuff.
Hey,
Is that
The original series.
series?
Richard, what's his name? Richard.
It is Richard Chamberlain.
Yeah, that
It's
guy.
cool. It's got a painting of Toshiro Mifune on the back. So, because that's Toranaga in the show.
Cool.
It's a cool find I had at Ralph's.
I've been meaning to go there
And-
recently. I keep forgetting.
Just go, Michael. Just
I
go.
know. It's on my way home. I just don't do it.
The only other thing I have is he called someone generous cuckoos. So
It's true. I was laughing. during
Oh, I did like when he got the house. He's like, "This is mine."
Why?
Wait, how long am I going to be here?
that. Yeah.
yeah,
Like,
that was a nice
salary.
house though, man. I take that house.
Like she's like, "It's not polite to walk on the moss." He's like,
Oh yeah,
"Fine, rock."
can't even walk in my own yard.
He is sassy in this episode.
Or when she keeps following you, he's like, "Go away." Oh, I don't know how she let him go for that walk. She's usually
I
following.
know.
Yeah. So, any other thoughts for Shogun?
I think just overall, like, I enjoy the show, but I'm like with Jared, I never like right now. I'm like, I'm fine waiting for a week for the next episode. I'm in no rush
Yeah.
to,
Yeah.
which I kind of like though. It's kind of like the enjoyable kind of once and move on
Yeah.
for a while because I'm not like I need to know what happens. I'm eager to watch the next one. I'm just like, what's here? It's
Yeah,
here.
it's a
This-
very week to week
Michael,
show.
This is how TV was back in the day.
Yeah.
I'm not that young. I'm like, I know.
I know.
I waited years for Dragon Ball Z, Thomas.
True.
I waited
You know how many
13
Garlic
years.
Junior sagas we had to watch?
Thomas.
One?
Did you-
Three.
Thomas, do you know how many
Oh.
years I've waited for Dragon's Dogma 2? Now it's
Did
only
you
5
watch-
days.
Did you watch
13 years,
Lost?
Thomas. I
Lost when it
watched.
came out?
No, I tried
No.
watching the first season a while back. This was like 5 years ago, actually, and I just got real bored.
Alex has been trying to get me to watch that for years.
Yeah,
And
he
I'm
tried
just
to
like,
get me. I'm surprised
I
you
can't
didn't
imagine
watch it. It
that
seemed like a Thomas
age-
show.
Can't imagine
I
that
didn't-
aging well.
No, I did not. The too many
Really?
episodes. There's too many. It's like 400 episodes for each season.
I
There's
love
not-
like that first season, man. That pilot episode was great.
It's good.
I keep thinking it's like Gilligan's Island gone wrong is the only thing I can ever get in my mind, and I can't take the show seriously.
What
when
was
I
the
was-
series you watched, Michael? What was like the first series that you remember watching week to week?
Oh, probably week to week. First series I remember watching. You're talking like big long ones, like
Yeah. So like me and Jared watched Lost when it came out with our parents every week. We watched
I'd
it.
guess probably Smallville, because I watched that week to week for like till the end of the series. Like it's crazy, yeah.
Somebody save me.
I think of anything, but yeah, somebody.
Psych, I think, was like my big one.
That's a
for
good one.
while.
The USA.
Freaking
USA.
Supernatural went way too long.
I mean, I remember the first one like I watched week to week was like Spider-Man and Power Rangers in Space. Those were like the ones I always had to race home to make sure I caught. But
All right. So
right.
any last words on Shogun? We'll probably wrap it up at some time and just like review all the rest of the episodes in one go. So that'll be probably whenever that happens. I don't know when the show ends, but probably next month sometime. But yeah, tell us your thoughts in the comments and like, subscribe, and notify yourself for even more good stuff to come. And we will see you next time. Bye.